Story time about how I found my boyfriend with his best friend. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 6 years. We met in cosmetology school. We both had a love for makeup and hair. While in school, we decided to partner up and open up our own little business. I started liking him from the moment we met, but he never made a move on me. And I was not used to that. So we were friends for a few months. One night, we went out with our friends and we got a little drunk and one thing led to another and I kissed him. He kissed me back and after that, we were inseparable. We even moved in together and we talked about marriage. But ultimately, he would never propose. I always asked him when we were going to get married and he just never had an answer. His best friend, let's call him Roger. Roger was a great guy and he always hung out with us. I liked him. They would hang out all the time and I never thought anything of it because they were best friends. One day Roger made a comment about my boyfriend being really good looking. I brushed it off, but a few days later I walk into our apartment and there they are on the couch doing stuff. Literally passed out. Part 2 is up. Walk in on my boyfriend and his male best friend on the couch doing things to each other. I actually fainted as soon as I saw it. All the blood rushed to my head and I passed out. And when I came to, they're both standing over me half naked. My boyfriend picked me up from the floor and put me on the couch. And Roger went to the kitchen to get me a drink. I felt dizzy and I couldn't even speak. I blurted out, "You're gay?" Then my boyfriend started crying. He said he didn't mean to hurt me and that he never wanted to waste my time. I asked him how long he'd known that he was gay. And he said for a few years. That meant I was wasting all of my youth on him. I could have had children. I could have been married already. I was so upset. Then guess what? My boyfriend says he's gonna go stay at Roger's place so that he can give me some space. Of course, I begged him not to leave because I knew that would be the end of us. I thought we could work through this. He packed his stuff and left. Part 3 is up. My boyfriend left me for his best friend, who's a guy. A few days passed by and I was super devastated. That's when my boyfriend comes and knocks on my door. Then he gave me the worst news of all. He told me he was gonna marry his best friend, Roger. He explained to me that they had been in love for a long time, but they never told each other anything. It was only until recently that they started hooking up. Looking back, it all makes sense. He and Roger would hang out all the time and I was never invited. Roger even got my boyfriend hired as a makeup artist at his job. They were constantly together. But at the same time, I had never seen my boyfriend so happy. He said he could finally be himself. This is when I realized that it was for the best. I stopped begging him to get back with me and I started dating other people. They even invited me to their wedding, which was beautiful. Now we have dinner a few times a month and I've got a new boyfriend. Life is crazy. Story time about how I got arrested for stalking my celebrity crush. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. When I was 15, I saw my celebrity crush for the first time in a movie. After that, I pretty much went to all of his movie premieres and events. I was able to take a picture with him and even got his signature. To say that I was obsessed was an understatement. Now, here's where the problem began. He started dating this woman, aka another celebrity, and I pretty much lost it after that. At the time, I was living with my mother and she couldn't help but notice the change in me. I started staying out pretty late, mostly because I was out in the city looking for him. I knew all of his hangout spots because the paparazzi always caught him there. So I basically would hang out everywhere he would. I followed him to his house, I followed him to the gym, and I followed him to the grocery store, pretty much everywhere. I decided to sign up to his gym, and I started talking to him, and he started talking to me, and he asked me out on a date. Part 2 is up. After stalking him for a while, my celebrity crush asked me out on a date, but he didn't know I was stalking him, of course. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. On the date, he pretty much only talked about himself. He told me he had just broken up with his ex, which I knew that. And I basically pretended not to know anything about him. There was lots of awkward silence and I just couldn't help but stare at him the whole time. That's when he asked for the check and paid for dinner. I was totally expecting him to ask me to go back to his place. Well, when he didn't, I was really disappointed. So I did the logical thing. I invited myself over. That's when he told me that he couldn't because he had to get up early. After that, I didn't hear back from him at all. So I decided to go to the gym where I knew he was going to be. But when I tried to say hello to him, he told me to stay away. Then he asked one of the gym employees to escort me out. And when I got home, the cops were waiting for me to arrest me. They showed me pictures of me stalking my celebrity crush. Part 3 is up. As soon as I got home, the cops were there and they arrested me. And they showed me pictures of me stalking my celebrity crush. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. Since they had all this evidence and my face on the pictures, I couldn't say it wasn't me. They told me that after our date, my celebrity crush got a really bad feeling from me. So he decided to install cameras around his house and in his car. And well, that's when he caught me stalking him around his house at odd hours and following him in my car all the time. I was taken to court and told I had to go to therapy. Apparently, he felt bad for me though and didn't want to press charges. He did get a restraining order, so I definitely can't go near him. The good news is that I have another celebrity crush. Yeah. Story time about how my entire family found out I had an OnlyFans. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. My family is super strict on me. My dad was so strict. I couldn't even have girlfriends growing up. Like, I couldn't have kids over. I couldn't go to anyone's house. It was the worst. Daddy Dearest would even check my emails and my cell phone every single day. So when I turned 18, I moved the heck out of that house. So of course I needed to earn money, and I found out that one of my friends had an OnlyFans and she was trying to convince me to use it so that I could sign up with her link. Part of me just wanted to really piss off my dad, so I signed up. And guess what? Within a week, I had about 60 followers charging $9 a month. You do the math. See, my dad was paying for my phone bill and everything at the time, so I wanted to become financially independent, and I was able to do it. So I tell my dad I don't need his financial help anymore, and he starts asking questions, but I wasn't giving him any information. Later on that night, my phone starts acting weird. Go to part 2. That's when I realized that my phone had been hacked. Guess what? It was Daddy Dearest. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Before I realized my dad had hacked my phone, he called me and asked me to come over. But he had a really bad attitude, so I was like, what the heck is going on? When I get to my parents' house, both my parents are sitting on the couch waiting for me. And that's when my dad tells me that he knows that I'm on OnlyFans. He tells me I'm a whore and that I'm a slut, and that I've disgraced the entire family. My mom just stayed quiet the entire time, but I definitely kept my cool. Once my dad was finished insulting me, I calmly told him that I was an adult and that he had no right to intervene into my life. I asked him how he found out, and then he showed me his cell phone. He somehow had access to everything in my phone. I was so disgusted. That's when my mom gets up from the couch, gives me a hug, and tells me that she's proud of me. She said she didn't agree with me having OnlyFans, but that she was happy I was turning into an adult. Then the craziest thing happens. When I open the door, it's my aunt, my uncle, and my cousins. My father literally called the entire family because I had an OnlyFans. As soon as my aunt sees me, she bursts into tears. I ran away from my parents' house and went straight to my apartment. Then my cousin told me they were planning on having an intervention. Now I'm making $5,000 on OnlyFans. XOXO, OnlyFans. Story time about how I almost got arrested for selling my mom's underwear. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. My mom is a total MILF. She used to be in music videos back in the early 2000s. So obviously, I had to find a way to monetize this. When I turned 16, I knew that I wanted to start making my own money. I had heard about people selling pictures of their feet on the internet, so I thought, why don't I try that with my mom? By the way, I am a dude. So I got on Google and started searching how I can sell my mom's pictures, specifically of her feet. So every time my mom would go to get her pedicures done, I would just offer to take pictures of her feet for Instagram. She thought this was really weird, so she would say no. I would try to sneak pictures every now and then, but she would always catch me. So eventually I scrapped that plan and I moved on to her underwear. I found a website that was talking all about how you can sell your own underwear, and obviously since I'm a dude, nobody's gonna want to buy mine. And I know, what I'm about to say is pretty gross, but I started stealing my mom's dirty underwear. So obviously I had to start keeping track of every time my mom showered. I would go into the bathroom and steal her underwear. Then I would put them in Ziploc bags, and this was the best way to conserve any, and then I would mail it off to dudes. Well, within a month, I was making at least $500. But my mom started freaking out because she couldn't figure out where all her underwear went. She asked me about her underwear, but obviously I played it off like I had no idea what she was talking about. After about 3 months, things were going really well. I was selling my mom's underwear sometimes for $100 a pop. And here's a gross detail, but guys wanted my mom's underwear, especially after she exercised. Totally disgusting and weird, I know. Things were going way too good. I was making tons of money, and I was able to buy myself all the things that I wanted. And my mom, of course, started noticing all this new stuff that I had in my room. Well, little did I know, but my mom had installed cameras in her bathroom and in the house. So basically, I was being filmed every second of my day. But of course, I had no idea, so I just kept doing what I was doing. I would wait for my mom to shower, then I would steal her underwear and ship it off to these dudes. I was home alone one day, and there's a knock on the door. And when I opened it, it's the police. They had a warrant to search my house. Of course, my mom comes home and she explains to me that she installed cameras in her bathroom and that she caught some dude stealing her underwear. I literally couldn't believe they hadn't figured out it was me. So I totally played it off and acted like I was shocked. Then my mom called me into her bedroom and started showing me all the footage. It was totally obvious it was me. Then I got handcuffs put on me. Then my mom busted out laughing. She said that they wouldn't arrest me, but that I needed to learn my lesson. The cops warned me, saying that if I ever did that again, I could definitely get arrested. But when they left, my mom asked me how much money I'd been making. When I showed her how much money I'd been making, she said, "Let's keep doing this. We're still in business."